Finally, the brief Bitcoin bear market is seemingly over as Bitcoin skyrockets up towards much higher targets. We're going to take a look at the chart and all of the news driving the market today and see if we can figure out where Bitcoin is headed. Let's go. What's up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up, like button right down below. Now, as I said over the weekend, we saw huge Bitcoin moves, and it seems that the bear market is over and a new bull run is confirmed. That's looking at the technicals, not based on any emotions. We're going to take a look at the charts right now. Before we take a look at the news, I'm going to tell you why I think we're going to continue up. First, we have the Bitcoin monthly chart, which I have shared a number of times. Of course, it is only August 9th, so we cannot really judge the present monthly candle yet until it closes. Always important to wait until a candle closes to judge it. That said, we came back and tested the EQ of this ascending channel, as I said, was happening for months. Now it seems to have held as support. Two candles that both closed right at that EQ, that ascending dash line, and now we are seemingly moving above. We had tweezer bottoms last 2 months on the monthly candles and also had this high wave spinning top and then a nice hammer, which signals a likely reversal. This candle confirming the reversal from this candle and now heading up. We'll have to see how the month closes. But for now, it seems that the EQ, the center of this channel, is holding, which means that the targets are the top. That's how we start talking about 186,000. That would be if it made to the top of the channel in October. If you go out here to maybe November or December, we start looking at $200,000 targets. It seems absurd, I know, but if you look at it technically using this channel, that's the targets we're talking about now that the EQ is held as support. Weekly chart, absolutely beautiful. As I discussed at the time, we bounced right off the 50 MA. This is when I said I didn't think there was going to be any more downside. I started buying Bitcoin again, as you know, around 30 and 31,000. Well, now we have broken above the key level around 42,000. That was the top of this entire move up from 20,000, where we consolidated for over a month before breaking up. Well, now we have a weekly candle close above it. If you're looking to buy a dip, that area around 42,000, 41,861 here on Coinbase is where you'd be looking if it retraces back to test that as support and heads up. But everything here on the weekly looks good. And most importantly, we had this high, low, high, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Well, now we have a higher high for the first time. That, to many people, technically signals the end of the bear market and a new bullish trend that we now have a higher high. Everybody has a different definition, but that is one of the technical definitions for how a bear market ends and a new bull trend continues. What does that mean? Well, it means if price drops, which it certainly can, that we have a new bear trend and not the same one. Technically. Now, digging into the daily chart, we have a few things to look at here. I had this descending blue channel. I told you it would break to the upside and it would be retested as support. That's what happened. Again, here on Bitstamp, it was exactly 42,000. Back above 42,000. Has not been quite retested as support. Almost. It was front run slightly. And now seems to be heading up. We have a few areas here around 47,000, 50,000, and ultimately this supply around 55,800 up to about 56,900 that should be strong resistance on the way to new highs. Now, there will be dips along the way and price could drop, as I said, but if you believe we're in a new bull run, these are the areas to be watching. Looking here at the Bollinger Bands, I showed you the last 2 times they were this tight. Once we confirmed that the breakout was to the upside and not the downside with volume and volatility, that meant that the trend should continue. We are looking exactly as I said, like it did in December. Move up, consolidate inside the bands, push to the top of the bands again. This is what I had drawn all the way back at the end of July, and it seems to be following that path for now. When you get that strong breakout of the Bollinger Band to the upside, that trend should continue. Once again, looking here on the daily, there was a lot of concern about this sell 9 here on the TD sequential. And ultimately, it did start a new bearish count down to 4, but now we are already back up to 5 on a bullish count. If you're trading TD sequential, things are still looking up. Now, on the daily line chart, we have potential bearish divergence here with a higher high in price and a lower high on RSI. That seemed to confirm 2 days ago, but now it seems to be heading up again. Could easily end up invalidating that and not being a big deal. You can see on a real bull run how far we can go into overbought, and we had continued bearish divergences and price kept climbing. So when you're looking at the daily, one single bearish divergence, not really that big of a deal. I could definitely see us pushing up to these levels, 89, 90 of RSI and overbought since we just got here, before seeing an inevitable correction, which always does come. Now looking at the 4-hour chart, I shared with my newsletter a setup right here where we had a bull flag. It hit its target here at 45,000. That was just last week. That was a really quick, nice little trade. But as you can see here, this is the infernal range that we were trading in since May. We are above it. We have retested it as support here and moved away. Technically, that should mean that accumulation is over and price is headed up. Absolutely beautiful. Now that's what I'm looking at on the charts. Very optimistic about higher prices, but let's now take a look at the news, which is, of course, a mixed bag. First, the big news. U.S. Senate bill threatening crypto industry moves forward. The U.S. Senate has adopted an amendment to President Biden's infrastructure bill that spells bad news for the crypto industry. First, the language is flawed, but let's keep in mind this is a $1 trillion bill about infrastructure having nothing to do with crypto. There was one little provision for more taxes in there, and it was worded poorly, right? Poor wording does not necessarily mean that there was bad intent when it was written, right? Probably this was thrown in there, another way to raise a bit of taxes. Somebody wrote it was hasty, and cryptocurrency was not even on the radar, so nobody paid much attention. Well, we had 3 amazing senators who did pay attention and tried to change the wording. Ultimately, they lost, and it was passed with another amendment. But there can still be some more time for debate, so we do have till Tuesday morning to see this finalized. And then, of course, it has to pass the House. And then, of course, it can be debated in the court. This is not a huge defeat. It's akin to losing the battle, but we could still win the war. But what's most notable to me is not the fact that there was this bad language in here and that this could negatively affect companies that are trying to build in the United States. What strikes me is the fact that every United States senator now was debating cryptocurrency on the biggest stage in the world. This is probably Biden's most notable legislation as of yet, a $1 trillion bill that's almost 3,000 pages long, that both parties were coming together to rebuild the infrastructure in the United States. And what held up the bill and was the biggest topic of conversation for days? Cryptocurrency. If you had told me a year ago that Bitcoin would be debated in the U.S. Senate as part of an infrastructure bill and could freeze the entire bill for a weekend, I would have told you that you were nuts and committed you to a mental institution. We have made it. We are here, and now they have to pay attention to us. And it happened without lobbyists. This was us coming together to put this on the international stage. Absolutely astounding. Next, Ether gains beat Bitcoin after network upgrade. As we know, we had the London fork EIP 1559, and now Ethereum should theoretically become a more deflationary asset. Not much to talk about here. We all know that Ethereum has been smashing Bitcoin. As I've said for years, I'm much more bullish on the price of Ethereum than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most important asset of our generation, but as a trade with more upside, Ethereum has far more. It's up 280% this year, while Bitcoin now is up roughly 40%. It ain't even close. Ethereum has been smashing Bitcoin this year. And with all of the improvements and everything being built in DeFi, I personally continue Ethereum to continue to outperform for a very long time. This was a crazy story. The price of gold crashed 6% in 2 hours. If you were paying attention last night, gold absolutely plummeted, and it happened super fast. More than a $60 drop in 1 hour and basically a 6% crash in 2 hours. It made it down to a price of about $1,670 before bouncing hard. Why did this happen? Well, it happened because of traders. This was a technical crash, which is interesting because we see it, cascading liquidations and short squeezes and all of these things we talk about in Bitcoin. Well, it happens in bigger markets like gold as well. As they said here from City Index, stop loss related selling in very thin market conditions. It was a holiday over in Asia. There weren't many traders sitting at their stations, and when it broke a key level, a ton of stop losses probably triggered, causing that cascade down and the big bounce. I don't think that there's any big news here for the fundamentals of gold. The pundits, of course, are positing over all the reasons this could have happened. This happened because of traders and because of leverage. Brian Brooks resigns as CEO of crypto exchange BinanceUS. When Catherine Coley, bring her back. Everybody loved her. She was amazing, and it was really just unfortunate the way that she was removed. Well, Brian Brooks, who, has a long history in the government and is a fan of cryptocurrency, everyone was very excited when he took on this role. But I have a feeling, we don't know for sure, that all the regulatory concerns around the world for Binance, even though BinanceUS is effectively a different company, have probably led him to believe that maybe he can't make the change or get where he wants to with this company, and he is leaving. I think that he will still be a huge proponent for crypto, will land somewhere else, but it will be interesting to see what happens now with BinanceUS. Guys, that is it for the news today. I will be live streaming today at 2 p.m. It is going to be awesome to live stream on a bullish day. Finally, we've been in boring accumulation for all this time, and now we have some fun things to talk about. And I'll be taking a look at a whole lot of charts trying to find some new Bitcoin and altcoin trades. So make sure to check that out today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, guys, please subscribe to the newsletter down below. Check out the amazing things that Femex has to offer. There's a lot in the description of this video, so go down there and read it. Until 2 p.m. today, peace.